In this video, we will create a Google Maps apps using Flutter. We'll be using Android Studio. Let's get started. First, let's open Android Studio. I am using the version 2020.3.1. Let's click the new Flutter project. Note that the Flutter SDK path is pointing to the Flutter SDK we already installed in our machine. Let's click Next and name our project. Say Flutter Google Maps. Note that we need to put the underscore between each word that we may have for the project name. That's the notation of using Android Studio. Click Finish. On the IDE, on the left side of the IDE, we can see the project folder. Expand the project folder and let's open the main file. It's located in the lib folder. The name of the file is main.dart. Open that file. And let's just close the readme file. This is the default file and default content whenever we create a new Flutter project. For the moment, let's just stick with this content. Later on, we will do some changes on the content to put and to call Google Maps libraries from within. Next, let's run the emulator. In this video, we will run the application on emulator. So let's run the emulator. It can be run from the ABD manager. We can see the ABD manager icon on the top right corner of the IDE. So open the ABD manager. If you don't have any emulator created, you have to create one. In my case, I already have one created for me, named Pixel 2 API 30. So let's just launch the ABD by clicking the green button. You may notice you will receive a warning notification while running the emulator. That is fine for our case. And let's just close the ABD manager. Now we are ready to create the Google Maps apps. There are several steps need to be taken before we can launch the Google Maps. First, we need to add the Google Maps Flutter plugin as a dependency. This can be done by using a command in the terminal. So let's go to the terminal. It can be found on the bottom of the IDE under the terminal tab. Click the terminal tab and issue the pub add command. The command is flutter pub at Google underscore maps underscore flutter. That's the Google Maps Flutter plugin name. Hit enter. Flutter will install the required dependencies, libraries and files in order to install the plugin. Next step, we need to configure the main SDK value. In order to use Google Maps SDK on Android, it requires us to setting the main SDK value. Let's use value 22. That's the requirement, and this can be done in the build.gradle file, and the file can be found under the Android apps folder. So let's go to the folder Android app. So we can see the build.gradle file. Open that file. In there, we need to find the default config section under the Android section. Scroll down. That's the section. So change the min SDK version to 20. That's the minimum version needed in order to run the Google Maps. We also need to change the target SDK version number. Use the API you install on your Android Studio. For my case, I'm using Android API 30, so I set to 30 for target SDK version. Let's save the file, Ctrl S. Next, there is another step we need to do. We need to create the API key for Google Maps. This is required in order for us to use the Google Maps service by Google. The idea is that Google needs to know the user that use the Google Maps service they provide. Somehow they need some information who is using it and why they are using it for some reason. So let's just create the API key. It can be done from within the Google website under the Google Cloud Platform website. So let's go to the website. Open up your web browser. For my case, I'm using Edge browser. Simply search for Google Cloud Platform. So the site is cloud.google.com/gcp. Go to that site, and on the site you need to sign in with your Google account in order to log in and set the API. After that, you need to click the console button on the top right corner of the browser. So once you click on the console, you will be in the Google Cloud Platform. Already been in my case. And first, you need to create a project. So let's create the first project before we can create the API. So you may see create project button on the page, or you can use the drop down menu from the top bar of the page. So let's create the project. Let's name the project. Let's say Google Maps app in Flutter, and click create. Okay, open the project. So you should be in the project page. While in the project page, you can see some details of the created project, some project info, resources used, APIs, and some other things. So now we are ready to create the API, but first we need to enable the Google Maps API. So let's enable first. Go to the main menu, scroll down, until you get into the other Google products section, and you can see the Google Maps platform menu there. Go to the APIs. Okay, here you need to select which API you want to use for your apps. For our case, we want to use for Android development, so we choose Maps SDK for Android. Click it and click enable. So Google will enable the Map SDK for us, so that we can use within our apps. So that's the API being enabled. You can enable several APIs, but for our case, we just need the SDK for Android API. Next step, create the API key. So go back to the main menu. Under the More Products menu, find the APIs and services. Go to Credentials. Here, there are no API keys created at the moment. We need to create one. Before that, we need to configure the consent screen. So click the Configure Consent Screen button here. You can choose the user type. In my case, I just use external because I just consider myself to be a tester user for the apps, and just click create. Some information is needed, and let's put the required information. App name, let's name it Google Maps in Flutter, and key in the support email, your email address, some other information, optional information you may want to put in, but I just key in the required one, the email address and the app name. So let's key in the email address and click save and continue. Okay, on the scopes, click save and continue. Test users also do nothing, just save and continue. And then click back to dashboard. Okay, back to the credential. Now click the create credential button on the top browser there. Choose API key. Then click, that's the API key created, just click close. You can open the API key link. So there's some option we need to choose. On the key restrictions, application restriction, just stick with none, and API restriction also don't restrict key, just click save. So open again the API key, and that's the key created for us. So back to our Android Studio. Next thing we need to do is to adding the API key on our app. That can be done by using the Android manifest.xml file. So let's open that file. It is located under the Android app src main folder. So go to that folder and Android app src main. So we can see that file, Android manifest.xml. Open that file, then find a section between application and activity tag. So within this tag, we need to add the key. So put somewhere in between. So we need to use the metadata tag. So let's insert the metadata tag. Metadata and the attribute for name, Android colon name equal, point it to the android.go.api key. Com is under the com.android.geo.api_key. Then add another attribute for value, Android colon value equal, that's the key you have to put. So go back to the GCP, copy that key, API key, and insert in the Android manifest.xml, paste it there, Ctrl V. So that's the key. Save the file, Ctrl S. Now we need to program the Google Maps in the main.dat. First, let's just remove the initial content, the default content of main.dat. Delete, select all, delete, and paste our Google Map code. I have created one here and I have shared in the comment section for you to try. Copy and paste on the main.dat file, Ctrl V there. So So here we are calling the Google Map libraries from Flutter, and also creating widgets relevant to the Google Maps. So Ctrl S to save the file, and we are ready now to deploy the application to the emulator. Let's deploy. So run the program, click the run button. So watch some messages. Oh, we need to here add the end tag for the metadata. Ctrl S, save again and run again. So we can see some messages on the console window showing that the app are now being compiled and assembled to be run on the emulator. It may take some time for the first run and the first compilation, and the time will be shorter on the subsequent compiling. So you can see maybe some warning messages display if we are using some deprecated API, but it will be override by the SDK we are using. So now we see that the output is being created, the app debug.apk under the build app output Flutter APK folder, and now the APK are being transferred or installed on the emulator. For that, actually I have installed installed to the SDK on my Android phone. So maybe we can just stop that one and choose the emulator. So compile again and run again. So remember that we need to choose to what device we want to deploy, whether on the device, real device itself, or on the web browser, or on the emulator. So let's recompile to the emulator. So with some luck, we can see the Google Maps on the phone, on the emulator. For my case here, I have preset the latitude and longitude, or the coordinates of the map, to be pointed to the city of Kuala Lumpur. Okay, you may choose your preferred city or places you want to show on the main screen by changing the latitude and longitude number or coordinates on your program. So that's about it. To wrap up, in order to create the Google Maps application on Android using Flutter, we need to include or install the Google Maps plugin for Flutter. Second, we need to create the API keys and then configure the minimum SDK number, and add the keys in the Android manifest.xml file. After that, we have to make sure the output we want to deploy the application, whether it is on the emulator or on the real Android phone or on the web browser. And then we can start deploying. So the map can be shown on the screen. Okay, can be zoom in and zoom out. So now it means that we are accessing the Google Maps services from Google by using the GCP, and enable it to show it on the phone or the real device. So that's about it. Hope this video benefits to you. If you found it meaningful or informative for you, please share around with others, with somebody's around that may use or develop the same kind of application at the moment. Until then, see you in my next video. Have fun in coding and start inventing now. Thank you.